Today's question with Talking Scuba is, would you spend £180 on a small handheld torch? And the reason I ask the question is that I've just been sent one. It's the OrcaTorch D710. It was sent to me by BrandpaNitrox, who sell through Amazon. And here it is in a very nice travel case, which I will talk about a little bit later. And some pictures here of me actually using the torch. In the more shallow dives where the light levels are quite high and we do get some clear water, I tend just to use the torch for peering underneath rocks just to see what little creatures are about. But out in the open water there's no need for a torch at all. Certainly my D630 canister torch 4000 lumen would be overkill out here, no need at all. Saying that, there's never too much light. Now at the end of this video I'll go through the unboxing and some of the features of the torch, but for the moment I want to talk about whether in fact we need a torch at all, and whether something like this, a smaller pocket type torch, would suffice as a primary torch here in the UK. Now on the south coast of England, our conditions here day by day vary incredibly, and the visibility can go from this to this, and then it gets worse and goes to this. What I'm trying to show here is the difference between having the torch on or not. On this particular dive down at 30 odd metres, there was some light coming down, but a lot of debris in the water. So for most of this dive I had my torch turned off. And the two reasons I turned the torch back on was, one was to have a little peer into some crevices and see what was on the wreck, and two was to let my buddy know that I was still there with him. But saying that, I still needed a torch. I wouldn't have wanted to have been down there without some sort of signalling device at least. And as we all know, the torch is there for more than just seeing where you're going. And a bit later on I'll run through some of the torch signals that scuba divers need to know, which for some reason many scuba divers don't. Here I've switched from my canister light to my little handheld, just to show how really ineffective it's being at the moment. And even without my torch turned on, I can recognise my buddy's hand signals, and in this case he's pointing out to me that this is the site of the gun that was mounted at the rear of the ship. At some time during World War I, the British merchant ships were armed with a solitary gun to try to protect themselves from the German U-boats, but this plan backfired. Before guns were fitted to the merchant ships, the German submarines used to surface and make the captain of the merchant ship surrender. They would board the merchant ship, place explosives and sink it. This would save the U-boat expending expensive and very precious torpedoes. And of course all the merchant sailors were put onto the lifeboats and sent on their way before the explosives were detonated. But once the merchant ships became armed, it was too dangerous for the submarines to surface, so instead they had no option but to just torpedo the ships with no warning. So when we're flashing our torches into the side of these ships, we're always very, very mindful of the history behind them. So although it's often dark and murky down there, the history is fascinating, and we use our torches to good effect to find all little bits and pieces buried in the silt around the ships. But back to the reason why we're here. This is what the OrcaTorch D710 looks like when it first arrives. It's very well packaged, and it comes with a very useful travel case, which I do use, and I'll explain a little later. Because the D710 comes with two batteries, when I'm packing to go to Egypt, I want to keep everything together. rather than throw it all in the bottom of my suitcase and hope I find everything at the end of the journey. But the problem is the bolt snap. If you've hardwired a bolt snap to your torch, it won't fit in the case. So here is the simple solution. I simply pack my bolt snap and a loop of whatever in the lid, and to simply fix it on when I get to wherever I'm going. And then do the opposite when I'm coming home. When I actually get home, I can then put a more hard wire fixing back on my torch, like a key ring or something. But for the holiday, this works just fine. Back to the torch itself, I like the fact that there are two rechargeable batteries. They've got a USB connector on the side of the battery, and they either glow green or red depending on the charge state of the battery, so it's very obvious to see which battery is which. I prefer to have a torch with rechargeable batteries rather than one with an external charging port. As you'd expect, this torch is beautifully made. It's rated down to 150 meters, and you can see why. There are 3 O-rings stopping water getting in, and I think above all else that makes this torch a very reliable torch. The bottom line is it's compact, it's reliable, it's plenty bright enough for what it's designed for, and I like it. As I said earlier, I want my backup torch to be bright enough for signalling. And talking about signalling, there are 3 basic signals that the scuba diver needs to know. That's when you wave your light generally up and down. Consider that like a nod. I want your attention, but it's not urgent. More rapid nodding up and down might mean slightly more urgent. Left and right, swinging left and right is indicating a problem. And a nice round circle is the signal for OK. So you might just give your buddy a little circular wave and he should respond back. When it's murky like this, it's useful to be able to communicate with your buddy. And the other reason I like a nice bright torch is at twilight, if I come up, I can shine my torch on the DSMB. It makes it glow. I can shine the torch on me so they can see me in the water. And heaven forbid, should the boat be too far away, at least I can flash at the boat so it knows where I am. But overall, I think the OrcaTorch, the D710, is absolutely cracking. This one comes from Amazon, from Brinty Direct, and I've attached a link to them and to the Amazon site in the description. Worthwhile having a look at and worth the investment. Your backup torch might be the one that saves your skin. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you do get yourself an OrcaTorch, leave a comment, it'd be great. If you liked the video, again, leave a comment or a thumbs up. And if you want to hear the next episode, subscribe. You never know what's coming. Anyway, keep diving and keep safe.